That was wonderful. Wonderful. So, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. A new year means a new theme. So, this sounds a little funny, Al. Okay. So a new year, a new theme. I'll tell you about the theme in a second. But to get us started this morning with our message, as always, I like to start with a few of our principles. The spiritual principles that we use and that I like to use is also better known as What We Believe, written by Ernest Holmes. And if you'd like to have a copy, you can simply do a search of Ernest Holmes and What We Believe, or you can use the QR codes in the back of your chair to join our mailing list, and we'll send you something and you can download a copy of the very thing I have in front of me. So this morning, we are working with spiritual principle number 1, and it reads, we believe in God, the living spirit, almighty one, indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. Spiritual principle number 2, we believe in the individualization of the spirit in us, and that all people are individualizations of the one spirit. Spirit is in me, and spirit is in you. Spiritual principle number 8, we believe that the universal spirit, which is God, operates through a universal mind, which is the law of God, and that we are surrounded by this creative mind, which receives the direct impress of our thought and acts upon it. Spiritual principle number 7. I have a few this morning, y'all, I'm sorry. We believe in the direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. Simply, it's imperative that we know the truth. And finally, spiritual principle number 5. We believe the ultimate goal of life to be a complete freedom from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. So, each year, as I stated, we work with a theme, or that we have a theme. And I'm always open to Spirit's guidance for our yearly theme. And over the years, I have come to trust it and am still coming to trust it and not to question it. So this year, we're running it back. Last year, our theme was oneness, a day at a time. And this year, our theme is a day at a time, oneness. We're running it back. In case you don't know what that term means is, we're doing it again. In sports, which is where I learned the term, and team sports and individual sports, if you happen to be the loser of the particular sport or game that you're playing, you would usually hear someone say something not quite like this, but almost like this: run it back. Let's run it back. Let's do it again. And there's something about the one who says run it back, because what is sure to happen in running it back is that you become more of who you really and truly are. In running it back, you learn something about yourself. Certainly, you learn something about yourself. So, as we run it back this year, let us, each one of us, count on becoming more and more of who we really and truly are, and nevertheless, we're running it back, a day at a time. Oneness. It's imperative for the next 365 days, or a little bit less than that now, but that we understand that we are called to daily open ourselves up to the truth. Because a mind imbued with truth is one with God. A mind imbued with truth, a mind infused with truth, a mind ingrained with truth, a mind invested in the truth. It is one with God. So, this year, as we open ourselves up to the truth, it is not so much that we are set out to discover truth as we are set out to discover our true selves. Because when we discover our true selves, we find the truth within us. We find the truth that is already there. So we must be open to the truth. We must be willing to discern truth, and certainly willing to apply truth in our lives so that we ourselves come to know and to understand the truth. Because it is the truth that you know that sets you free. Now, I can on Sundays and in the classrooms, and the practitioners can in the classrooms share their experiences of truth with you. Another way to say that is they can describe for you the application of the principles that we talk about, how they've applied these principles in their own life. I can tell you about and share my experiences with you of peace. I can tell you about and share my experiences of you of feeling alone and not feeling loved, and having my thoughts and my feelings transformed to a place and a space where I, most of the time, feel at home in this wonderful and magnificent universe of ours. But it won't be your truth. It'll be my experience of the truth. My sharing with you my experience of applying the principles in my life. But it won't be your truth. It might be of some assistance to you. It might aid you and guide you in some way, but it won't be your truth. So you've got to know the truth. You've got to know the truth. Tell your neighbor, you got to know the truth for yourself. And tell the other neighbor, you got to know the truth for yourself. So the question is then just how do we know truth? Well, truth is revealed. Truth is not necessarily seen with the eyes or heard with the ears. It's revealed. How do you know something is true? Because it resonates with you. How do you know that it's truth? It's unchanging. How they used to say, the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. How do you know that it's truth? Because the truth is not concerned about your opinions. We have to be able to make the distinctions, though, between truth and our opinions. It's imperative that we do these things today. The truth is unchanging. It's not someone else's opinion. It's not even your opinion. It's the truth. The truth is the truth whether I'm in Philadelphia or I'm in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. The truth remains the truth whether I'm high on a mountain or I'm down in the city. The truth remains the truth whether I'm a girl or a boy, whether my pronouns are he, she, her, they, it. The truth is simply the truth. God and I are one. It's the truth. It's not my opinion of it, it's the truth. The truth is not concerned about your opinion. And these days, everybody has an opinion about everything. About what's good and what's bad and what's right and what's wrong and who's right and who's wrong. Everybody's got an opinion. And on the internet, we are bombarded bombarded, consumed with other people's opinion. Well, we can never be free when we are bound by opinions, others people's opinions, and our own opinions. We can never experience this freedom that the principle is talking about. We can never be free of discord of all kind if we're consumed with our own opinions and the opinions of others. Ernest Holmes, in the Science of Mind textbook, and Ernest Holmes is the founder of this teaching that we all partake in, and there are many other variations of it. But we use a lot of Ernest Holmes material and lots of other people material who are speaking the same kind of language. But in the Science of Mind textbook on page 32, Ernest Holmes says that it has been written that the truth shall make us free, provided we know the truth. Provided we know the truth. So if you don't know the truth, it cannot set you free. So Jean Houston, some years ago in 2012, when the Science of Mind textbook was rewritten, she had the honor and privilege of writing the foreword in the book. And in 2012, she said that although Ernest Holmes' words are a little antiquated, his ideas still remain relevant. Let's see a little bit. I'm going to read a little bit from her foreword. In it, she says, "The ideas expressed in this book remain larger than the constraint of words and even more relevant to today's necessity. Holmes seemed to anticipate the world of the new millennium with its compounding of factors unique to human experience. How can we deal with a world in the throes of whole system transition in which everything that we have known is changing at so rapid a pace that we are caught between the dangers that threaten us and the opportunities that beckon us? Educated for the demands of a different time and culture, we are called to be re-educated, to use much more of ourselves in meeting the many new challenges that confront us." She says, "We have no choice then but to democratize greatness and utilize the whole continuum of human and divine potential. The Science of Mind says that this is not only possible, it is what is expected of us. Indeed, it is that for which we have been created. The infinite knowing that it cannot contract has coded the relative meaning of ourselves for expansion into itself." You ain't got no choice in the matter is what she's saying. For the first time in human history, we are required as a species to extend ourselves into radically new ways of being. The tasks that are now ours, the tasks of virtual creation, compel the revolution in consciousness that tells us that we are part of the great unfolding of spirit in flesh. These are the times, she suggests, you and I, we are the people, and this book can help us, is what she says. These are the times, you and I, we are the people, as we find ourselves caught between what threatens us and what beckons us, as we find ourselves between what scares us and what inspires us, as we find ourselves dealing with fear and faith, what threatens us and beckons us, what scares us and inspires us. And the way to the latter is to extend ourselves into becoming radically new ways of being. I heard Reverend Michael Beckwith say, I think it was last week, about a new year. He says, there can't be no new year if there's no new you. Radical and new ways of being. that is directly tied to truth, and the truth that you know that has already set you free and can set you free. So, being is derived from knowing. What you know colors who you be. Something like that, right? So, as always, in the first month of the year, in January, we look at the Introduction and the Science of Mind textbook. And so in the introduction of the Science of Mind textbook, there are 4 sections: the thing itself, the way it works, what it does, and how to use it. And today we are going to spend a little bit of time on part 1, the thing itself. In that chapter, Ernest Holmes says, listen, stop tripping. When a thing is a thing, trust that it's a thing. Don't spend all your time trying to figure out what makes it so. When you mix blue and you mix yellow, you get green. It doesn't matter how it comes to be that way. What matters is that it is that way. And can you just simply accept that it is that way and use it? Don't use too much of your time trying to figure out how it works that way. It just is that way. Accept it. God and I are one. It just is that way. You can never be separate and apart from God. It just is that way. We are the individualization of spirit. It just is that way. And the way we operate in this world is through our mind. It just is that way. There is 2 separate parts in the explanation of what this mind is. It's conscious, it's unconscious. It's objective, it's subjective. It's your thought and what happens to your thought. It just is that way. And your thinking creates your experiences. 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 It just is that way. Don't be too consumed by it. When you know it and you understand it, then use it in a way you begin to create the life that you are desiring. That's what he says in part 1 of the introduction, the thing itself. He says that the greatest discovery is that we are free to think, what to feel. Feel however you want to feel. Think whatever you want to think. Just understand that however you feel and whatever you think, that there is a law of mind that corresponds and responds to what you feel and what you think. So if you feel you are unworthy, the law of mind corresponds and gives you experiences that will show you that you are unworthy. If you feel that you are not loved, then the law of mind corresponds and responds and will give you experiences that will affirm that you are not loved. But if you begin to feel that you are worthy, if you begin to think that joy is all around me and peace is all around me, if you begin to think that the world you live in is that there are good people in this world, if you begin to think that the world is for me and nothing is against me, if you begin to think that I'm prosperous and abundant, if you begin to think I'm good enough, if you begin to think that everything is already all right, well, the law responds and corresponds to what you are thinking and what you are feeling. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. It is the greatest discovery. And I agree. It's the greatest discovery. It's been the greatest discovery for me, for sure. In the textbook, I'm going to read just a little bit of what Ernest Holmes says in part 1, the thing itself. I'm reading from page 27, 29, and 30. In it, he says, about the science of mind and its teachings, let us approach it normally. He says this about metaphysics. Let us approach it normally, happily, willing to accept, glad to experiment, hoping and believing that as the result of our efforts, we shall each derive a great good, a sound understanding of the natural laws of life, as they apply to the individual and his relationship to the whole universal scheme of things. This is the simple meaning of true metaphysical teaching, the study of life and the nature of the law, governed and directed by thought, always conscious that we live in a spiritual universe, that God is in us, through us, and around us. And on page 29, he says, each individual maintains his or her identity in law through your personal use of it. And each one of us are drawing from life what we think into it. He says to learn how to think is to learn how to live. And on page 30, he says, man and woman, by thinking, can bring into their experience whatsoever they desire, if they think correctly and become a living embodiment of their thoughts. This is not done by holding thoughts, but by knowing the truth. It is the truth that you know that becomes your experiences. And the only way to know a truth is through the application of the principles, your own application of the principles. You don't come to know the truth because I say that it is true. You come to know the truth because you know that it is true. So, whatever you think and whatever you feel is subject to the law of mind. Simply stated, it is done unto you as you believe. Ernest Holmes says, when we know this, each one of us have limitless power at our disposal. There's no stopping us. When you know this, you have limitless power at your disposal. So what that means then is there is no God and no power outside of us. There is no dogma or no rules to be consumed by. The only thing to be consumed by then is truth. If we have to be consumed by anything, it would be truth. No dogma, no rules, just truth. So, if what you are thinking and what you are feeling, if it has not or it is not causing you to experience life any differently than it did yesterday, or if it's not causing you to experience life any differently than it did a month ago, if what you are thinking and what you are feeling, if it isn't causing you to experience yourself in a new way, if you aren't experiencing yourself any differently from how you were experiencing yourself a year ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, some of us been here a long time, if you aren't experiencing yourself in a new way, you need a new thought. You need to begin to place some new thoughts into this subjective mind of ours. If nothing has changed, you got to be honest with yourself now. If everything is still the same, you got some work to do. We got some work to do. If you aren't experiencing yourself differently, if you aren't experiencing others differently, if you are experiencing people the same way that you experienced them a year ago, if you're experiencing people the same way that you experienced them 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago, The one who is invested in truth, whose mind is infused, the one who takes time, the one who's willing to apply the principles in your life. You will change. You will change. They will change. The situations will change. The circumstances will change. Free all discord. You see? So, every time we use our mind, then, we set the law of mind in action. Ernest Holmes says, all thought is creative thought. So whether you are conscious of what you are thinking about or unconscious of what you are thinking about, all thought is creative. So it would do us some good if we become mindful of what we are thinking. It would do us some good if we become aware that we are thinking the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. It would do us some good if we become aware of ourselves trying to manipulate the thinking, where we might trick ourselves into thinking that it's all right to be thinking that kind of way. It's not all right to be thinking that way, because all thoughts are creative. Here's the thing about it. In order for you to begin to cultivate new thoughts, in order for you to open out a way so that this truth, this infinite truth, Ernest Holmes says, none of us can get to all the truth. It's infinite. So in order for us to open up to it, we've got to do some things. One thing in particular, right? There's this guy on social media, and in his videos, he is a personal trainer. And I mean, you know, like click, 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 boom, 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 like all that, right? And he's very handsome. And so he'll say, if you want this, do these. Do these. Anybody ever saw it? Right? So he'll be like, if you want this, do these. Do these. Right? If you want this, do these. Do these. That's his videos, right? So, if you really want to understand and know the truth, do these. No, if you really want to understand and you really want to know the truth, you've got to let go of your opinions. Do that. Do that. If you really want to experience greater peace, you've got to let go of everything unlike it. Do that. Do that. If you want to experience more ease and more grace and more calm, let go of everything and anything unlike it. If you want peace, do this. Do these. Do these. If you want joy, do these. Do these. If you want peace, pray. Pray. If you want joy, forgive. Forgive. You understand? Do these. Do these. Do this. Do this. If you want this. If you want this. If you want this. If you want this. If. And it's a big if. If you want this. You got to let go of your old thinking so that your mind can be filled with the infinite potentiality and possibilities that exist. If you want it, do these. Do this. That's all I got. Practitioners, please join me. As we move into a moment of prayer, let us all just simply, as we are already aware of the power and the presence that's never an absence, let us just simply begin to affirm it and know it, to declare it and to decree it in our word. Let us just simply know that we are one with God in every way, and that our mind is some part of the infinite mind, and that we are free to choose, that we are free to be open to this infinite infinite intelligence that is right where we are. It is who and what we are, because we are the individualization of spirit itself, and all that it is, we are. So I am affirming today for you, as I affirm for myself, that my mind is open, that my mind is open, that I'm willing to let go of my old way of thinking the same thing over and over and over again. I am open to the truth in all of its ways. I am open and invested in engaging in and understanding and knowing the truth for myself. I declare for you, as I declare for myself, a great willingness and desire to be so expressed and as my God self in every way. As I desire this for me, I know too that it is the great desire of all. And so let us just know then that everything that we need, that every thought, every infinite thought, any thought that we might need to move us into having a new experience, to move us into truth, to move us into our true selves, to move us into understanding who we really and truly are, to move us to understanding the possibilities of the power, of the limitless power that is at hand. Let each one of us declare and decree it to be so now. Nothing stands in our way. Let us affirm and know that anything in us desiring to know how it works and how it's going to work and how did it do that and how it's going to do that, that any of that now we let it go and we declare and decree, because a thing is so, we can use it for our good and for the good of others. So let us all just be willing then to become aware of our thought, to become aware of our thinking in such a way that if it's not moving us into living a life that is so free of discord, that immediately we change our thought, that immediately we begin to know something new, that immediately we begin to apply the principles in our life, that immediately we use the truth that we already know. God is good, 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 God is good. Love is all there is, love is all there is, love is all that lives, love is all that is. All my needs are met, 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 all my needs are met. I am whole, I am perfect, I am complete. I am whole, I am perfect, I am complete. I am whole, I am perfect, I am complete. The whole universe is conspiring for my good. The whole universe is conspiring for my good. The whole universe is conspiring for my good. When God be for me, what can be against me? Let us rejoice and give thanks that we have embarked upon the greatest discovery, our minds and the power of our minds. Let us give thanks for our willingness to apply truth, to be discerning of truth and our opinions, to let go of our opinions so that truth may have its way. I am grateful and so moved in this moment to simply releasing my word, letting it go, turning it over into the mighty, mighty law, the subjective, the unconscious part of myself that does not care what it is that I am desiring, but simply says yes. We let it go. We let it be. And I invite you all to join me in anchoring it by saying, and so it is. And so as we journey on throughout our week, if you want to be free from all discord of every nature, let go, let go, let go. Fill your mind with the truth, because a mind imbued with truth is one with God. And so it is.